right, so today we're going to be covering some of the basics of Zoom. We're going to start with just a quick slideshow presentation just to go over some of the basic Zoom features, the pros and cons of Zoom. And then we're going to get into a live demonstration section where I'm going to show you how to download Zoom, how to create a Zoom account, and then generally how to navigate all of the in-meeting buttons and features once you've joined a Zoom meeting. So we'll start off just with some kind of quick facts and information about Zoom itself. So some key features of Zoom that make it stand out. One is breakout rooms, which we won't use today, but we do often actually use in a lot of our cyber senior sessions. These allow us to take our current room and break into smaller virtual groups while still remaining on the same meeting and then come back together. It's a really neat feature. Some other of the kind of big video conferencing softwares do utilize this, but not all of them, and not all of them work well. To be honest, the Zoom one probably functions the best out of all of them in my experience. You can get audio transcripts on Zoom, so you can have live transcripts while you are speaking. You can use unlimited one-on-one. So there is free versions of Zoom as well as paid versions of Zoom that you can access. The free version allows you to have unlimited one-on-one meetings. However, if you want to have longer than group meetings, so more than 2 people on a call for longer than 40 minutes, you will have to get a paid version. But generally, that is usually enough time, and the free version will serve you just fine if you're doing so. And that is only if you're hosting. If you're participating in a meeting, that doesn't make a difference. You can access any meeting you need to regardless. Easy screen sharing and virtual whiteboard. So screen sharing, exactly what I'm doing here right now with you, why you can see this presentation I'm sharing. You can have up to 1,000 participants on some meetings and up to 1,000 viewers on webinars. So it has a really big capacity to host a lot of people. It does keep call quality pretty high while doing so. Again, I think quite a bit better than a lot of the other platforms out there provided by Google and Microsoft and stuff like that. You can also do things like customize virtual backgrounds and video filters. If you saw me at the beginning, you saw my little background, things like that. And as I said, there's that 40-minute time limit for calls with 3 people or more. So some of the pros, as I said, hosting large group calls and webinars with high call quality. It is really, again, I think, like I said, one of the best platforms for that. It's ideal for interactive meetings with screen sharing. So exactly what I'm doing now. If you're generally outside of attending, groups like this and webinars, just doing basic video calling where you're just kind of face-to-face with one person, Zoom is probably not the platform you're going to be using. But in the case where you want to make a presentation or share anything that is on your computer with participants, Zoom is really the best option for it. More and more other services are making this happen. FaceTime recently introduced a screen sharing feature as well. I'm not sure if Duo, which is like another one-on-one phone video calling service, does that. But the quality and the capacity of it is not as good as Zoom's is. A variety of features are available, including gallery and active speaker view, reactions, chat, and more. So they really do prioritize kind of interactive features that can kind of substitute some of the things we don't get because we're not in person. We are virtual, that make it feel a bit more interactive, a bit more intimate. Some of the cons of Zoom, if you're using the mobile app, it does have fewer features than if you're using a computer version of Zoom. So if you are using a mobile app, that is limited. And you might be limited by the device you have as well. Virtual backgrounds, I know, not available on all devices. More features imply that it may be more difficult to learn. So because it is kind of complex, as you can even see, there's tons of buttons. There's a lot to learn, a lot to unpack. So there's always kind of something to learn with Zoom. Maybe more difficult to learn, it's a bit more complicated. As simple as just a regular video call via your phone to another phone. Zoom bombing still remains a threat, so there are some security issues with Zoom, primarily in my experience, Zoom bombing. So this is where uninvited people can enter and disrupt a meeting. Zoom has taken a lot of steps to ensure that this doesn't happen anymore, but however, it does happen on occasion and something to be aware of. Basically, people are just trying to meet and cause a ruckus. It's irritating and annoying, but we have taken procedures here today to stop that. So what happened today, but it's also the risk of giving up personal data. If you're concerned about giving up personal data, do not connect your Zoom to your Facebook account or your Google account. So this is true for really any new account setup. When you're on a new website and you're signing up for an account, a lot of the time you'll get an option to sign up via Facebook or sign up via Google. And this can seem easier in the moment because you do not have to put in new login credentials, password, or anything like that. It just utilizes your existing Facebook or Gmail login, but that does leave your data susceptible to them being able to access it and use it. If that's not something you're uncomfortable with, that's fine, but it is definitely something to be aware of. And Zoom does use that for some logins. That's why we always suggest creating a fresh login, just using your email as your identifier and not going through Google or Facebook or any of the other options they may present. All right, now that we've talked about some of the features of Zoom and the pros and cons, now we're going to get into our live demonstration section, again, where we're going to talk about how to download Zoom, how to make a Zoom account, how to join a meeting, particularly how to join our meetings with the registration page, and then how to navigate all the in-meeting features. So to download Zoom, it's going to look a bit different if you're on a computer versus a smartphone or tablet. If you're on a smartphone or tablet, you have to go to your device's dedicated app store. But if you're on a computer, you will download it by going to your internet browser. That might be Microsoft Edge, Firefox, Google Chrome, or Safari, depending on your device and your preference. I'm using Edge. But anyway, you'll come here and then you'll go to either your search bar down here, or my preference is to go up to the web address bar here at the top and type in the URL zoom.us/download. That will take you right to the Zoom download page. You can just use a search engine to search for Zoom download, but best bet is to use this direct URL. Make sure you're going to the correct safe download site. Now when you're on here, you'll see right away the Zoom desktop client download with a download button just below it. That is what we want to download here. So we're just going to click download and it should initiate a download. You'll see mine is coming up over here in the top right hand corner. Depending on your browser, this might also show up in the bottom left hand corner, but either way it should be present and popping up. If by accident you kind of click away from it and the download disappears, no worries. You should be able to find it right up here by clicking a button up here, or go to the three dots over in the corner. You should get a list and look for downloads in the list. It should bring back this downloads list, and we'll just wait for it to get fully downloaded now. All right, and once it is done downloading, you should see it here, and you can just click on it where it says open file, or just really anywhere on it. And once we do that, it's going to initiate the download process. So here we are with the installer. Our first step is just like an intro, so just click continue or next, whatever it might say there. And then we can finally just install it. So we'll just click install down here, and it will start installing. Mine requires me to put a password in my computer every time I download a new app. Yours might require you to do that or not, but if that pops up, you'll just have to type in your password. And it's basically done downloading. There we go, it's all done. And now it should just open the app straight up on my device. And right from here, now we can start joining Zoom meetings from the app. Now, next thing up is if you do want to create a Zoom account to use for Zoom, which by the way, you don't have to have a Zoom account to use Zoom to join meetings, but if you do want to create your own meetings, you have to have one. So this will look again a bit different if you're on a phone or a tablet. Right here, in order to sign up for an account, I just have to click the sign in button. First, if you're on a phone or a tablet, you'll see a sign in button as well as a sign up button. So you can just go ahead and click the sign up button and it will take you to where you need to go. But from here, we'll click sign in. Then in the bottom right corner here, very small, we'll see it says sign up. I'll click there. And that should push me to the Zoom website where I can start my sign up process. The first thing it asks you to do generally is to verify your date of birth. Whether you're doing this on a computer or tablet, it always asks this question first. It says this data will not be stored down here at the bottom. This is just to confirm you're old enough to have a Zoom account. So it really doesn't matter. If you'd like to put your real date of birth in there, you can. If you feel uncomfortable doing so, you actually don't have to put in your real date of birth. From my experience, they never actually ask for this as a confirmation for any sort of account information going forward. So it's not like if you put in a random date, it's ever gonna come back to haunt you. So you can put in a random date if that makes you feel more comfortable doing so. Once you do that, the next thing it's gonna ask you to do is enter your email address. So what we'll do is we'll sign up with our email here and we'll sign up. Once that happens, it sends you an activation email to your email address. What you'll do from there is you will go access that email. So let me go sign into my email. So you'll get an email from Zoom. Here's the email. It says the sender will be Zoom. It will say, please activate your Zoom account. Do be aware that these sometimes end up in your spam or junk folder, so watch out for it. Again, this is going to be the same if you're on a tablet or phone as well. It will send it to your email. You'll have to leave the Zoom app. In that case, go to your email to get it. You'll get this email. There's going to be a giant orange button in it that says activate account. You just click on that button. It will take you back to the Zoom website. You're going to have a bunch of tabs open. It's just what happens here. You'll type in your first name, your last name in these boxes here. And just know that once this is saved, this is what your name gets saved as. You can go back and change it later, but this is what will be popping up whenever you join a meeting as your kind of screen name. So make sure that you spelled it right or that you're using a name that you're comfortable using when signing up. And then it's going to ask you to create a password and then confirm that password. The password has to have at least 8 characters, at least 1 letter, at least 1 number, and include both lower and uppercase. You should make sure this password is safe. Try not to repeat passwords that you've used before. Really easy way to make an easy password if you don't know what to do is write a sentence, replace some of the letters with numbers that look like it, so you can replace an S with a 5 or something, and make it long. Those are really the best things. So say I wanted to make my password, I may make it I love pistachio ice cream, exclamation mark. This meets all the criteria. It's pretty, pretty easy for me to remember because it's just a sentence. It's going to be hard to guess as someone doing this. So something like that, if you don't know how to create a strong password, or if you have one that you like to use that. I'm creating a different password here. Once you do that and they match, it will say so. If your password doesn't match, you're going to get something that says confirm password doesn't match. So you may have to go back and rewrite both of the passwords. Once that's done, click continue. And that's it. You have a Zoom account. Now, once you've done that, you can come back to the Zoom app and you should be back where you were before in this kind of sign in page. And now you'll be able to actually sign in. So you'll come here where it says email, click there, and you'll type in your email address that you used to create the account. Then you will enter the password you used when creating the account. And then finally just click sign in, and you should then be signed in to your Zoom account here. And when you have a Zoom account, now you can not only just join meetings, but you can also host your own meetings. So that is the benefit of having a Zoom account. You can see from this homepage that we're able to schedule and create new meetings now, as well as join meetings. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at how to join Zoom meetings. Specifically, we're going to look at how you would join any of our Zoom webinars that we're hosting with Cyber Seniors. All right, so generally in order to join a Zoom meeting is through clicking on a meeting link. Now, generally we might find a Zoom meeting link in an email that was sent to us. It may have been shared on a Facebook group or on a website, but either way, when you're looking for a meeting link, this is how you're going to open it and then join the meeting from there. So for me, in this instance, I've received an email with our dates for our October webinars, which are October 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th. And in order to join one of these sessions, I'm going to find the link in here. For a Zoom meeting, the link should always generally start with https://us02web.zoom.us/me. It's this long link. It starts with this HTTPS and then zoom.us is in there as well. So to join this meeting, I'm going to click on the link. And in this case, we have a registration page. So for all of our Cyber Seniors webinar, for security's sake, we do require registration. We can see the Zoom webinar title and the details of it. And then we're just going to scroll down and fill out our details, our first name, last name, email address, and we also ask for preferred pronouns. Great, now that that is filled out, the next thing we have to do is just click register. Now, once I'm registered for this event, it's all going to be good. I will see a link down here, so I'll get this kind of big page. At the bottom, we'll see, please click here to this URL to join. This is how I can join if I've registered for the event on the spot. However, if I've registered ahead of time, I will receive an email with the link again. So if you're joining and the meeting's about to start, from here you'll just click on this link. And if you're looking at this from a browser, it will tell you to open it. This will happen also sometimes from phones and tablets. So it'll push to open the app and you'll just click open an app or open. And then it should open the meeting for you. Now, if you did register ahead of time, you will also receive an email confirmation from Zoom. Here it is, Zoom Best Practices for Navigating Your Web Browser. Here we'll see an email, and from here we'll get again all the details, and there'll be a big blue button that says Join Meeting. So if we did register ahead of time, we'll just go find that email from Zoom, find this big blue button, and then click Join Meeting. Okay, so when we're joining a meeting, occasionally when we're joining a meeting, there will be what's called a waiting room set up in the meeting, which basically just allows the host of the meeting to allow people in as they're coming in and kind of hold them off. So when we are joining a Zoom meeting, occasionally we will come across this where it says the host will let you in soon. If you see this, this just means that there is a waiting room set up, and basically this just allows the host of the meeting to screen any people entering the meeting just to make sure they don't have any unwanted people in the room. So if you ever see this, you can just hold off, wait till the host lets you in. Eventually they should let you in, and then you will be in the meeting. So here we are in the Zoom meeting, and we're just gonna go over some of these in-meeting features and buttons. So generally when we're in a Zoom meeting, if we're on a computer, all of our in-meeting controls and buttons for the most part are located down here at the bottom. If we are on a phone or tablet, more than likely they're all located at the top, but we pretty much have access to most of the same features. There may be some limitations on phones and tablets, but we'll kind of review what those are. So first of all, over here to the bottom, we have our mute and unmute button. And this allows us to turn on and off our microphone. So when the button says mute and it looks like that, that means my microphone is actually turned on and people can hear me. When it says unmute, as it does now, that means that I am actually currently unmuted. I'm currently muted and people can't hear me. So when you have that red strike through it or it says unmute, that means I'm muted. And if it says mute, it means I'm unmuted. So it's the opposite. What it's indicating by what it says is the action you will be performing if you click it, not necessarily the current state that your microphone is in. So that is how we turn on and off our microphone. You may also notice if you're on a computer that you'll have this little tiny arrow next to the mute button. And if you click on that, that just reveals a longer list of microphone and audio settings. So we can actually select our microphone from this list or select our speaker. And this is something we would do if we had, like say, headphones plugged into our computer, or we were using a separate microphone than the one that was built into our device, and we wanted to switch to those. So right now I'm just using my computer speaker and computer microphone, but if you're using a pair of headphones, you may need to come here to make sure that it's linked up and actually coming through that source. Now you should also be able to see things like test your speaker and microphone, and then you'll also at the very bottom have this thing called audio settings, which pulls up this extra menu and just allows you to play around with some of your other audio settings. You can turn up or down your output volume, or turn up or down your input volume, and create other effects on your audio. So here you can find all of those settings here, and you can kind of play around with them. The next we have is our stop start video button. So this is what puts our video, turns our video on and off. Right now it says stop video, which kind of going along with how it was mute and unmute to mute and unmute. So when it says stop video, if I click that button, that will turn off my video. Now you'll see it says start video, and if I click start video, that will turn on my video. The other way to tell is if it has that little strike through that line, in this case a red line, that means my video is off, and now my video is on. Just like with the microphone, we may see a little arrow next to it. This gives us access to extra settings, things like blur my background or using a virtual background like I'm using now, or video filters. Those are all things you can explore and use. The access to those is more likely to work on a computer. On phones and tablets, it doesn't really work as well. Usually you don't get these little arrows on a phone or computer, or phone or a tablet, sorry. Otherwise, you'll just be able to turn your microphone and camera on and off. You don't have those kind of extra settings available to you. But also in this little pop-up, you can see video settings here at the bottom of the list. And again, we can do things here like adjust for low light and change certain particular video settings we have set up on our computer. So that's those two basic buttons, and those are kind of the bread and butter of using Zoom. It's the way we communicate through this platform. But if we move on, we have a few more things here. First of all, we have our participants button. What happens if I click that, it will just open up this separate window over here where we see a list of everyone who's on the meeting. So right now it's just me and my other device on here, but if you're on a bigger group meeting, you would be able to see all the names of everyone on the meeting currently. You could also come in here to change your name in the meeting, rename yourself. So say you were using someone else's device and you came in on their device and it was showing you as their name. You could come here, find yourself on the list, usually indicated by it saying me in brackets next to the name. So even if it doesn't say your name, you'll find yourself by where it says me. Hover your mouse over it, or if you're on a phone or tablet, just tap on your name, and then you click more here, and then click rename from the drop down menu. That will bring up a little window that allows you to change your name. So in this case, I'm just going to change just remove my last name just for an example purpose. And then I can click rename, and we'll see I'm now differently named up here on the meeting. So that's a main thing you can kind of do from that participants menu. Next thing, we have the chat. Now the chat, when I click this opens up this chat window. This is where we can send kind of typed messages to people in the meeting. So when I open it up, it opens up this window. Right now there's nothing in here. You'll see at the bottom it says type message here. So I can type a message down there and then click enter or return on my keyboard, and I can send a message to the group. If others send messages in the chat, I'll also be able to see them right there, and they'll come through in the message right there. And everyone in the group sees these messages. It just allows us to have a second kind of form of communication in the meeting. Now the next thing here is going to be our share screen button. We won't really use this as much unless we're hosting a meeting. This is what we can use to basically share content on our device. So either it's a slideshow presentation like I did at the beginning, or really share anything you want to see. So it comes in handy because it allows you to just share content. So it makes Zoom a bit more, it gives it a bit more depth than maybe just your traditional video calling platform. We can really share more information, have a bit more of an interactive aspect to our meeting here. The next button is the record button, which allows you to record the content of the meeting in a video. Now this doesn't always work, especially if we're not the host of the meeting. Generally, it might say that the host, you have to ask permission from the host. But if you are the host, you can generally record your meetings and take videos of them just so you can have them after the fact. Next, we have the reactions button, and now this is a really handy kind of tool, and it's just like the chat, just another way we can kind of communicate in our Zoom meeting that's not using video or audio to do so. So first of all, we have all of these little emojis up here at the top of this, and these are just what we call reactions. So if I click one of these, you'll see that it pops up on my video here. It's just a way to share a non-verbal reaction with the group, so we don't have to unmute ourselves, interrupt. We can just kind of gesture at something, much like we would in real life when we kind of gesture or use our body language to convey a message. That's kind of what reactions within Zoom allow you to do. So when you click on one, it just appears on your screen for about 5 or so seconds, and then it will just kind of disappear on its own after that time. Now the other thing that you will also find in reactions is this raise hand feature. Now this allows you to raise a virtual hand in the meeting. You'll see it pops up right over here, raise a hand. And then this one actually doesn't go away automatically. We'll see right here it says lower hand. So that will stay up until we press lower hand. And again, it's just a way to say, hey, I have something to say without having to, interrupt verbally. Then we can wait on the host or whoever's hosting the meeting to call on us and say, hey, your turn to speak. And then when we're done, we can click lower hand, and that puts that away. Now apps, this just connects third-party apps to your Zoom account. We don't really use this a lot, but it could allow you to add additional things like a transcriber if you have a hard time hearing to your meeting and stuff like that. And then lastly, we have whiteboards, which allows us to create kind of these collaborative whiteboards in the meeting, so we can open them up and basically use it like we would a real life whiteboard. So again, just another way to make our meeting more interactive, to share, for us all to participate in something together in this meeting that we might not traditionally be able to do online, but now we can because of this feature. All right, and there's one more button actually that's up here in the top right corner before we move down over here to the leave button. And this is this view button. It's quite a small button up here in the top corner. And this allows us to change how we are viewing other participants in the meeting. So you can see, for example, right now, it's just me on the screen large. I'm just seeing one person on the screen at a time, even though there's 2 accounts in this meeting. What view allows me to do is change my view from what's called speaker view to gallery view, and back and forth. Now, this button is usually located over here on the top left corner if you're on a phone or a tablet, and you'll just see that it will say speaker view or gallery view depending on what you're in. You can switch it that way. But with here, you click on view and I can switch to gallery view. And now I'm in what's called gallery view, where you can see there are 2 videos here on the screen at once. I'll turn on this one on so you can see both at a time and see how that works. So we have 2 videos here versus being in speaker view where it's 1 person on the screen at a time. So these 2 different views serve you differently depending on what kind of meeting you're in. If you're in a meeting and someone's presenting directly, you may make more use of speaker view because you just want to see the speaker themselves. But if you're in a big meeting where there's a lot of people participating and talking, gallery view might serve you better. And the reason for that is because we're using speaker view. Zoom is listening to people's microphones and pushing whoever is speaking to the front on speaker view at any given time. Sometimes there's a lag, or if there's people talking over each other, we won't get a clear view of who's speaking and it might jump back and forth and be jumbled. So when we're on those kinds of meetings, it's generally better to use that gallery view option. Now those are all basically the basics of how you're navigating the in-meeting buttons and settings in Zoom. There's more to explore in terms of account stuff and creating your own meetings, but we'll leave it there for now and then check back in another time with more details on that. But the last thing you're going to do when you're in a meeting, when you're done, is make sure you press that leave button. Now when you exit a meeting, when a meeting's over, if you are leaving ahead of the meeting ending, you definitely want to hit that leave button, especially if you're on a phone or a tablet. Sometimes we can end up just minimizing the app and then thinking that it's not on anymore or we're not on the meeting, but we still might be. So especially if you're ducking out of a meeting early, always click the leave button. Otherwise, if you're in a meeting and it's coming to an end, you can always just wait for the host to end the meeting and it will also shut down the meeting for you. But in our case, we'll leave the meeting right now. It's going to say leave, and then just in case we accidentally had clicked leave meeting and we didn't mean to, it's going to prompt us to click leave meeting again. And there we go. All right, and that's all for today's session on Zoom. I hope it was helpful and you learned a little bit. If you have any questions about this topic or anything else tech related, you can always call us at Cyber Seniors at 844-217-3057 or visit us online at www.cyberseniors.org.